Good evening, my friends. This is Dr. Jimmy again, with my little friend Lenny. Hello, Lenny. Say hello for the nice people, Lenny. Oh, she won't talk now, but she... Oh, there she was. She just did. Very good cat. Nice kitty. Lurking just out of camera range. Little cat. She may jump on the back and say hello before we're done. I don't know. You can never predict the cat mind. Well, unless you have some treats, and but that would be cheating. Where was I? Oh, yes. This is Dr. Jimmy, and welcome once again to my strange conservatory, which is a lot less hot than it was earlier because I chose to make my video in the cool of the evening before it gets quite dark, but dark enough to make my eyes spooky and glow a little bit for you. Yes, here we are once again, as I hope to get some more of my videos done. I'm already so horrifically late. So, to continue trying to catch up as quickly as I can, today's video will concern the next announcement for Halloween Horror Nights this year, since the last two that I made. This would be the announcement that was made on a Sunday 6 weeks ago, April 14th, 2019, still over a month ago. In fact, that would be, 47 days ago. Terribly late. But before we do that, of course, there's T-shirt to show you, and this is one of my prize shirts. The Curse of the Crypt Keeper from Halloween Horror Nights 5. The very first icon shirt for Horror Nights, featuring the Crypt Keeper, who was the event icon, the first ever event icon at Universal Studios Florida's Halloween Horror Nights in 1995, 24 years ago. And I know there's some of you out there saying, "Damn, Dr. Jimmy wearing a shirt older than I am." Yes. And it's still in good condition, not faded or anything, because I tried to take care of it. I was about to wipe my nose on the shirt. Bad, Jimmy, no. Just do that instead. No, this is a sleeve device. Scream your head off. There's also a thing on the back about I survived Halloween Horror Nights 5. You can see it, I'm not sure. So it's got one of those on it. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, yesterday I mentioned the construction permit that gave a 6th haunted house location, confirmed a 6th haunted house location for Horror Nights in Orlando this year. And I said that another one may pop up at any moment, and it did. Shortly after I made the video, oh, there's a permit. Bloody hell, it popped up just like I thought it might. But it wasn't for the secondary Shrek Theatre, which we are pretty certain will be used because of what we've seen recently, but no official permit to give it a full confirmation. No, this was for Soundstage 24B. Sorry about that. My allergies are acting up. As soon as I came out in my conservatory, somehow pollen seemed to have gotten in here. The pollens have been very rough on me this year. But enough of that. Yes, 24B. Now, if you have a permit for 24B, that means it's pretty darn certain they're also going to use 24A. So we can think of it as, oh, okay, they're using both of those. So pretty much then, there's only one thing we're not certain about. I mean, we haven't had the permit for Shrek yet, but that's almost certain to come. So the only other one is one more soundstage, most likely. According to rumours, that would be soundstage 25. Although that has not yet been officially confirmed. But once we know, then we will have all 10 houses pretty much figured out where they will be located. Thing is, the thing is, pardon me. Oh. Oh. The thing is, if it is soundstage 25, then the house locations seem to be identical to last year's. At any rate, soundstage 24 was used last year, and there were 2 houses in that soundstage last year, side A and side B, and I have no idea which is which. There are some people who are that anal that they have it all figured out, which houses were in side A and which houses were in side B. I've never really bothered with that. I just say, okay, there were 2 houses in that soundstage, and there have been more than one soundstages that have had multiple houses over the years, particularly soundstage 23, but also soundstage 21. And I think which one had Cabin in the Woods and what was it called? From Dusk Till Dawn. That was that. No, that wasn't. No, it wasn't that. It was Resident Evil: Escape from Raccoon City. Yes, and Cabin in the Woods. Those were both in soundstage 21. Yes. Oh, and I think back in the 90s, there was even a time when was 22 used for 2 houses once. I think it might have been. And a long time they used to put 2 houses into the earthquake queue area back in the 90s, but that was a long time ago. At any rate, soundstage 24 was used last year for 2 houses, and again, I don't know which was A and which was B, but one of them was my favorite house of the event last year. Doesn't mean it was the best house, it was just the one that was my personal favorite. Carnival Graveyard Rust in Pieces. And the other one in soundstage 24 last year was Scary Tales Deadly Ever After. And in fact, soundstage 24 has been used every single year since it was first used in 2013. Except, of course, there have been quite a lot more houses than you might expect, counting from 2013 to 2018, because most of those years there were 2 houses, but not everyone. In 2013 there was only 1 haunted house in that soundstage. The first time they used it, they only had 1 house, Evil Dead. And then each year after that they've had 2 houses ever since from 2014 on. Therefore, there have been 11 haunted houses in soundstage 24 to date. And that means this year the haunted house, and because I'm fairly certain if they're going to have a permit for 24B, then that means they'll probably have another house in the same soundstage. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to designate A or B. They would just have soundstage 24. And even then, they've had 2 houses sometimes. But they wouldn't designate B unless there was also going to use A. So this year I expect to see the 12th and 13th house in soundstage 24, whatever they might be. So now that we've got that out of the way, let us continue. So, as I was saying, this video will be a reaction video to news that was received Sunday, April 14th, 2019. I cannot give my anticipation for what was announced because it's very likely I will never see these things. I wish I could, but they're not for Orlando. On that date, 47 days ago, John Murdy, and I think his name is Chris Williams, I think that's his name. Isn't that a newscaster? I don't know. they were at Monsterpalooza over in Pasadena, California. And on that day, like they did the year before, they made a Horror Nights announcement. Now, at Monsterpalooza in 2018, they announced a scare zone, and which turned out to be quite exciting. And interestingly enough, what they announced this year at the same event was also Holidayz in Hell, but it wasn't a scare zone this year. No, it's not a scare zone. It's a maze, a haunted maze, which is based on that very scare zone that they announced at the same place 1 year earlier. Yes, this year, Holidayz in Hell, and it's Holidayz spelled with a Z, you know, like Zorro. Yes. And, yes, Z, or if you're British, a Z. But anyway, or Canadian, or anyone who speaks English outside the United States. But a Z, Holidayz in Hell. And like that scare zone, it will take you on a year-long journey through all the twisted and bizarre holidays, strange, morbid, and macabre festivals and celebrations. But that means, of course, it's an original maze in Hollywood! Oh my goodness, how exciting. This is the first original maze in Hollywood in 5 years. I went back to check, and sure enough, because I've never been to the event in Hollywood. I always want to, but never quite have the opportunity to make my way all the way across the country to go visit that event. But yes, the last time they had an original in Hollywood was in 2014, 5 years ago, and that was Clowns 3D. Oh, it's all been IPs since then, and from what I hear, it'll mostly be IPs this year as well, if it's accurate, because you never know with these strange rumors. But someone's been rumoring they're not doing a terror tram this year. I can't. Oh, I hope that's a wrong rumor. I hope that's unfounded. That's a tradition. How could they not do the terror tram? That just bothers me. I hope that's not true. Anyway, so, an original maze after all these years. Wow, I wasn't anticipating that at all. Quite surprised. But it's based on a very popular scare zone they did last year, and Murdy was quite happy with it. And so this maze will be very similar to the scare zone as far as the plot and some of the concepts and characters, as you go through a whole calendar of holidays starting in January on New Year's Day, and the demented Father Time and the New Year's baby. I think it'll be in a nursery where the baby is there, and Father Time is there to pass on his evil to the new baby New Year as he departs with the end of the previous year. In February, you go into the land of Valentine's Day, where a sick Cupid tries to shoot you with arrows, I believe. In March, of course, you come to St. Patrick's Day, where we have an evil leprechaun, and they're going to, I think, use Murdy's own first-hand experience of living in Ireland, and there'll be some really authentic Irish stuff in there, apparently. Oh, but sadly not authentic Irish stout, because Hollywood's event is dry, unlike Orlando's, where you can drink at an Irish pub, hooray! Sorry, all you dry teetotalers in Hollywood, you don't get to get drunk. Unless you're on... Do they still do those VIP things where you get a cocktail? That's the only way, I think. You have to take one of those packages. At least it used to be. Again, I haven't ever been there, and I only hear second-hand from people who have, and so... and the lovely videos I get to watch, to see, and thank goodness they allow more video footage over there than they do in Orlando, so I get a better idea of what I've missed. at least there's that. Okay, April will bring us to Easter, and again a demented sort of Peter Cottontail, an evil bunny. Then, what's the next one? I believe the next one is July and Independence Day, and another zombie Uncle Sam will be showing up, similar to the characters we saw in the Scare Zone last year. And when I say we, I don't mean me, because I wasn't there. But, except of course on the internet and in the videos. So after that, I believe we get to October and Halloween and some sort of pumpkin creatures. Then November and the Tom Turkey, the pilgrim turkey that was seen last year, and finally to Christmas. And here, instead of a Krampus, it is something similar but different. It is Satan Claus. Yes, ruling over. And I think what he said was it would be like basically one of those lots where you buy Christmas trees. Now, you might have noticed there's a couple of days missing. There's no Cinco de Mayo, and there's no Dia de la Muerta, no Day of the Dead. They left those two out. And it has to do simply with time and space in the haunted house. You have more room for stuff in a scare zone than you do in the haunted house, apparently. So they aren't doing those two. But it is a bit troubling that the two that were left out were the two Spanish holidays. Not saying anything there, but some people might get offended. I just think that's the one they decided to cut out because they didn't have room, and I suppose, although in Los Angeles you'd have an awful lot of people who celebrate those days, maybe not everyone. Although, to be truthful, Cinco de Mayo really isn't a Mexican holiday. It's an American holiday. They barely even celebrate it. It's about, do you know what it commemorates? A defeat, not even a victory. It's not Mexican 4th of July. There's a different day altogether. It's not their Independence Day. It's not a big thing in Mexico. It's a bigger thing here. It's an excuse for white people to put on sombreros and get drunk and drink a lot of tequila, and a lot of Mexicans find it kind of offensive. So that's just, that's actually true. So anyway, they got rid of those, and so the holidays will be only the ones that I mentioned, and that will be the maze. But the story doesn't end with the maze, because Murdy announced a Scare Zone as well. This is the first officially announced Scare Zone for any Horror Nights event this year. Orlando hasn't announced any Scare Zones yet, and the other parks in Japan and Singapore haven't announced a dang thing. We don't know what they're doing yet. Oh. Except I could rather suspect I don't really need tarot cards to say, oh, zombies, street zombies, yeah, for Japan, because that's what they do every freaking year. But enough of that. Oh, but anyway, getting back to Hollywood, or I should say Burbank, because that's where it's actually located. But anyway, getting back to beautiful downtown Burbank and Universal Studios Hollywood, in the streets, and I think it's the Parisian Street, which gives you an idea where the maze will be located, even though I don't know the layout of that park at all, and I have no idea. Again, the last time I was at Universal Studios in Hollywood was before it fully became a theme park in 1977 when I was 14 years old. So, it's a totally different place now than it was then. Although, of course, I would recognize things on the studio tour, like that flooded town and the where the shark jumps out. That was already there. Do they still have the parting of the waters? Probably a little different now than it was when I went there in 42 years ago. I feel old now. Just put me in my wheelchair and put me in the old folks' home. Oh dear, that frightens me. Anyway. Oh, so on the streets then will be the scare zone that will continue the story of the maze. It will basically continue the last part of the maze, which is the Christmas portion. And in the streets you'll have some stilt walkers, like I believe a new one this year is some sort of evil nutcracker. and some of the other evil Christmas elves and Mrs. Claus. This would be Mrs. Satan Claus, because instead of Krampus, they're doing Satan Claus, which is basically what happens when you switch the letters around in Santa. So he's dressed like Santa, but so sort of Krampus would have happened if Krampus took over completely and became Satan Claus, I suppose. Horrific stuff. Delightful. And so that's what the street is. Now, I have heard a rumor that, and I think this is pure speculation, and just so they can call it something, because they don't, but I have heard no official confirmation of what the scare zone's going to be called. There's no, I don't think it's actually on the website yet, but Murray talked about it back in April. But he didn't give a name for the scare zone, and as best as I know, it's the scares. Is it going to be called Dark Christmas again, like the previous Christmas-themed scare zones years ago? I don't think so. What I've seen is a rumor that it's going to be called Christmas in Hell, to tie in with the maze. But I would think it'd be better to call it Christmas in Hell, ending Christmas with a Z, because that would fit better. And I don't know if he would actually do that, but that's what I would do if I was going to do that. All right. Before I finish talking about Hollywood, there's one more thing I would like to say. There's only been 3 officially announced mazes, because another announcement came after this, and this will be an upcoming video when I talk about the 3rd house announced for Orlando and the 3rd maze announced for Hollywood, which happened on the same day, that was Monday 4 weeks ago. But that's another video. But in addition to those 3 announced mazes, there's very strong indications for what another maze would be, which has not yet been announced, because a maze has been seen being built in, I think, the Mummy building or adjacent, whatever. Again, I'm not that familiar with the layout of Hollywood, but they say in the Mummy area, and there's a facade that can clearly be seen, and the facade appears to be a red and yellow striped circus tent. And of course, that immediately puts something to mind, which is something that's been rumored ever since last year, that, hey, it's a scare zone this year, maybe it'll be a haunted house next year. People were saying that when it was first announced back last year as a scare zone for Orlando. And, well, if it is coming, it could be a shared IP as a haunted house in Orlando and a haunted house, a haunted maze in Hollywood. Yes, couldn't it? And although, again, it's only rumor, speculation, and not yet officially confirmed. And you should already understand, since I said circus tent, that I'm talking about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. No, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is the rumor, of course. And so the circus tent seems to all but confirm the rumor, except something else has happened to even more all but confirm the rumor, even more so. And so I think it's almost a given, just short of officially being announced, pretty much been given away. You see, when they posted a picture and said, oh, look, and people were saying, oh, Killer Clowns maybe, and all of this. Being the wise ass, on Twitter I responded with, "Oh, Pee-wee's Big Adventure confirmed," just like the joke I made a couple minutes ago. It was the joke I made on Twitter to have fun with it. And then someone responded to my tweet. And they responded with an emoji of 3 circus tents and 2 little emojis of musical notes. Now, that might not mean very much, except that the person who tweeted that to me, responding to my tweet, was John Massari. Blue check, the real John Massari. Yes. The composer of the score for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And for him to tweet that in response to my joke with musical notes and 3 picture emojis of circus tents is as close to a leak without actually saying it that, yeah, it is Killer Clowns. Because, so I think, because of course he would be involved. They'd want him to get involved with the music for the maze. And he was involved, I believe, with the music in the Scare Zone last year, because it isn't just the Dickies song. There's a whole lot of music beyond the Dickies song that Massari composed for the movie, for the Scare Zone in Orlando last year. So, this then, I believe, is a very good indicator, and I expect now, actually, that we'll get an announcement in the near future for the maze in Hollywood, and possibly a house in Orlando as well, which is the current rumor. Although, again, I cannot speak to the veracity of the rumors, but in this case, the maze in Hollywood, it seems like we've had some very good evidence of it right out in the open, at least on Twitter, and I'm sure it's been posted all over the various forums and fan gathering spots on Facebook. So indeed. So that is very likely to be coming as well, and will probably be announced. Although again, I won't be able to see the maze in Hollywood, but if it does come to Orlando as well, which seems to be rumored, and again, I don't know, but it might be, especially after the huge popularity of the Scare Zone last year, it might do that little thing that Trick or Treat did, coming as a Scare Zone one year and a haunted house the next. And that's something that's been speculated upon ever since they first announced Killer Clowns as a Scare Zone, as I mentioned. So, and I'm eager for it, because I thought there were some things they could do in a haunted house better than in a Scare Zone. They might even have, you know, the big guy that we couldn't really see in the Scare Zone. But enough of that. So that's the only thing left for Hollywood in this video. So we must now say goodbye to California and continue with other stuff, because I still would like to do more videos before too long. Probably not today as far as my reaction videos, but of course I have at least 2 more reaction videos to do for the announcement made on April 29th in both parks, in Orlando and Hollywood, and of course the most recent announcement for Orlando on May the 21st. Then, unless there's another announcement made before I continue, the next video to do would be to continue my history of Halloween Horror Nights 25 at last, and cocktail video, so I can wrap up all the Scare Zones from last year, so I can get to the house cocktails this year, of course. And I hope to, and I intend to make the next cocktail video tonight before we're even done. Not right now, but a little later. A little bit later, because there's things I want to watch on television. Good Omens has just started, so that's delightful, and other neat stuff as well. So, but hopefully a little bit later tonight I'll make the video for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the Scare Zone from last year, and come up with a cocktail. But again, I might not post it till tomorrow morning. For that matter, I might not even post this video till tomorrow morning. But you know, because you're watching it, so you know when it went up. Okay, so that's it for now. I've been about a half hour, and for me that's actually a short video nowadays. I bid you all sweet screams. Have fun.